Nationalism is perceived as mostly positive in Thailand. The word Ladyboy is not in the Thai vocab. Safety issue in Thailand is สวัสดีครับ Welcome to Real Thailander. My name is James and I'm your Thai best friend, at least in this channel. And in today's episode, I'm gonna tackle the topic of culture shock in Thailand. And this is quite a big task because I think there's just so many information out there already. So I'm thinking of what I could do differently. What are actually the culture shocks in Thailand that is so obvious that people haven't even thought about? And from the experience of being a Thai person living here for almost 40 years, these are the things I come up with that you might not have found anywhere else on the internet. Culture shock number one, nationalism is perceived as mostly positive in Thailand. Yes, that's right. So I remember about 10 years ago, I was working part-time in a school as a teacher, and I had about 50 students. Anyway, so there's so many students. There were some students who were sitting just right at me in front of the class. I was looking at their notebooks, and the notebooks was provided by the school, and in the cover of the notebooks, there was this cool motto written on the cover, and it went something along the line of this: generosity, kindness, and nationalism. I had to have a second look on that last word. I'm like, no way that they put nationalism in their motto. But it's true, it's nationalism. And that made me think, oh wow, that's really interesting because like I think from the global perspective, I think the word nationalism tends to be viewed as negative or controversial. But somehow in Thailand, I remember growing up, being in Thai school, we were taught that nationalism is a positive value. We should love our country, we should defend our country. We were taught that we should be so proud of Thailand for never having been colonized, which makes total sense, right? Having said that, I think that there is one thing that is a bit of a concerning issue here, and it's the fact that the other side of being nationalist is also the fact that you can be discriminating against people who are not from your nation. So there's a lot of xenophobia in nationalism as well. And I think in some ways, the fact that Thai people were taught all the time to be proud of the fact that Thailand has not been colonized, unlike our neighboring countries, could also make people feel a little bit narcissistic. What I'm trying to say is that I think pride serves so many useful benefits, but the dark side of having too much pride could also mean that you look down on other people. And I think this reflects on how sometimes you have the Thai people who treat people from the neighboring countries really badly. The next culture shock that you would witness in Thailand is how much people believe in superstition. People in Thailand are superstitious, and I think this is, you might think that this is quite common for many other countries, but I think in Thailand, the fact that people are superstitious can also be seen in public, can also be seen in national television. One day during COVID, I was with my mom. I have to admit that I hadn't watched anything on the TV for a long time, Netflix and the internet and stuff. But during COVID, I was stuck and I was at my mom's place and she was watching this afternoon news. And in the news, it was this boy. He ran out of luck. So he was running around in his school and he stepped on this wet puddle, which is next to the school router, and then he got electrocuted and unfortunately he didn't make it, so he died. And then the next scene was cut to this TV reporter going to talk to the boy's dad, and the first question that he asked the boy's dad was this: did you have any dream about this? Did you have any hunch that this would happen? And I was so shocked. I thought for a moment that the boy's dad would get angry, but this question was really peculiar. And then I realized, oh, I've seen this before. This is a very commonplace practice. Every time something happened in Thailand, if there's like an unfortunate news or something, then one of the first questions that TV reporters would ask is about something to do with ghosts, something to do with spirits, something to do with maybe having some power over the livings that would probably dictate our lives. And it came to me, oh, during COVID as well, a government sector or department did hire a big number of monks to try to pray the COVID away. So yeah, this is Thailand, and it's shocking for me for a bit until I realized, oh, I have grown up with this, but I assume that people who have seen this for the first time would be quite shocked. The next thing that might shock you is the fact that Thai people can be so blunt. I think this goes against the idea of Thai people being non-confrontational. It's true that Thai people are relatively shy, friendly, and non-confrontational, but when it comes to appearances, Thai people can be so damn blunt. So for example, when I was younger, I was going to school, I mean, of course, with other Thai kids. After our summer break, which is March and April, we would come back to school and then people would compare the skin tone. If someone got a bit darker, then they would be bullied or made fun of by the other, classmates saying like, oh, you're so dark, not pretty anymore. Apart from the skin color, which is slightly racist, but I'm not gonna go into that, people also make jokes or make sometimes not even jokes, but like a statement openly about people's size. So I think a lot of people who was likely chubby or a little fat would be made fun a lot when they were younger. And I think this could probably be seen as normal if it's only stayed within the kids circle. But no, the teachers would also make fun of those kids too. I remember that when I was younger, a teacher of mine said this thing to me. She said, "You're not a very good looking kid, but lucky that you're quite smart." And it wasn't funny then, but I think in hindsight, that was absurd. I couldn't believe that someone said that to me when I was young. I also remember that my friend's mom did say to me this, that, oh, Dame, maybe you should shave your eyebrows because, if you shave your eyebrows, then the new eyebrows would come back bushier and thicker. Seeing that she thought that my eyebrows are very faint, which is true. But I remember thinking like, it's none of her business. But this is the thing. Thai people would always make comments about your appearances quite easily. And I think to dig deeper into this, I could see that there is some positivity in this, in that this might mean that people take appearances quite lightly or as something not so serious, which is a good thing. But at the same time, I also think that these easy remarks would leave a lot of scars or would make a lot of people traumatized. I know a lot of friends, usually girls, who I think still dealing with body image issue until now because they were made fun of when they were young, especially with their weight. So that's pretty sad. The next culture shock is the fact that the word ladyboy is not in the Thai vocab. Listen to this carefully. I'm not saying that the word ladyboy doesn't exist, but I'm suggesting that between two Thai people, if they were to refer to someone with the ladyboy-ish appearances, the people would not use the word ladyboys. The words that people would use are such as gathoi, which means literally intersex. Gathoi can also mean a super effeminate gay guy. Gathoi basically means people who display two qualities of two genders at the same time. And this word is sometimes derogative, sometimes not derogative. I think the most preferred words that transgender women in Thailand tend to use when they speak Thai anyway, they will use the word สาวประเภทสอง which means second category of women, or in the short form of that word สาวสอง which means second woman. So สาวประเภทสอง or สาวสอง and so many trans women would also refer themselves as trans, or with the Thai pronunciation it would be tran, so สาวสอง or tran. But between two Thai people, the word ladyboys wouldn't be used. The next culture shock is the fact that the safety issue in Thailand is very good, shockingly. I think that I had this culture shock the first few times I traveled abroad. For example, when I was in my early 20s, I went to the US for the first time, and I remember talking to people who has been there, and everyone warned me that when you go to the US, there are neighborhoods that are safer than the other. And so when you are walking around, just use different caution for different places and just become more cautious and plan your trip accordingly on which area you should visit and which area you should avoid. And I was like, this is a new concept for me, because in Thailand, I think while there are some richer areas and poorer areas, we never really have to think about which areas exactly are more concerning than the other, which area are more dangerous, unless you go to the deep south of Thailand, which has a lot of conflicts. When it comes to belonging, your personal belonging, it also feels way safer in Thailand to just leave your belonging, your phones, cameras, or your wallets on the table in the restaurant. There's so many street restaurants in Thailand, and if you observe, you will see that most Thai people just casually leave their purse, leave their wallets on the table. And it's probably very easy for people who just run towards these tables and grab the wallets and the phones. But these are very rare incidents. And when I travel abroad as well, I think my friends had to warn me that, okay, James, you can't do the same thing that you do in Thailand. You can't just leave your luggage anywhere. You can't just leave your belonging on the table so freely like that. When I was in Italy, I was told off by a friend to not do that. So this was a culture shock for me when I was traveling abroad. So I think that this also might be a positive culture shock, or should I call it a surprise, a shocking surprise for people to come to Thailand to know that, oh, it's quite safe here. Let's say if you are a digital nomad and if you go to a cafe for work, you can actually leave a laptop there while you go to toilets. Or I even know people who just leave laptop in a cafe and then went and have lunch somewhere else. Well, I did that too. Not nice with the cafe, but that happened, and the laptops are still gonna be there. The next culture shock is the fact that people ask about your age most of the time. In Thailand, most of the relationships are governed by the system of, wait, let me put it this way. I think in Thailand, people would like to relate to you more as a family than a friend. So familialship is way more preferred than friendship in Thailand. I think I could say it this way. So when you meet someone new who is not exactly your age, people would like to find out how old you are and how they should address you. So for example, when I meet someone new and they found out that a few years older than them, this person then would just add a prefix in front of my name. So I'm not a James anymore. Now I'm a P James. And P means bigger brother or bigger sister. It's a gender neutral term. But more than that, when you come across shopkeepers or fruit sellers in the market, then sometimes you would call them uncle and auntie. And especially in the north of Thailand, they take it a step further, which surprised me when I first moved here. They even call themselves mẹ, which is mother. So now it's even more than just an aunt. Now I have another mom, another dad who's not my mom or dad. just because they are a bit older. So yeah, this is the reason why people would probably are quite interested in knowing your age early on, so they could establish relationship with you according to the familial relationship system. All right, that's it for some of the culture shocks in this episode. I hope that you enjoy this episode, and if you like more content like this, please leave some comments below as well about maybe other culture shocks that you have come across in Thailand that maybe I haven't covered here. I would like to read more about it. And don't forget to subscribe. I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much. สวัสดีครับ